When I came across this story, I was like, "Ooh, inspirational! Inspirational space traveller." Had a little bit of angst around it, but it also just is incredible.
What we're doing is like driven by peers, driven by people with disability, and the more people are involved, the more robust it can be, the more connections we can make, and the more changes we could potentially see. So
We'd like to acknowledge the traditional caretakers of the land that we work and live on. We pay our respect to elders past and present, and we recognise their continuing connection to lands, waters and communities. We acknowledge that this land always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
Hello, I'm Dave.
And I'm Cath.
And welcome to episode 1 of The Priority Seats. We're brought to you by Community Disability Alliance Hunter, or CDAH, peer support organisation run for and by people with disability with the support of our allies and families.
I guess the key word there, Dave, is peer support. It's kind of at the heart of everything that we do. Sorry, Dave, I just jumped in. That's not like me. So obviously peer support is the key words there, I think, Dave. We really believe that people with disabilities are the expert on our own lives, and we support each other. We share what works. We figure things out together. And I guess that's what this podcast's all about, Dave.
Absolutely, Kath. Real conversations about disability, the practical, the funny, the policy and the frustrating stuff.
So, yeah, each episode you'll hear from experts and advocates and community members, lots of peers, right, Dave? Lots of people with disability.
Yeah, absolutely, Kath. So, Kath, when we talk about peers, what are peers?
Good question, Dave. So when we talk about peers at CEDA, we're referring to people with disability. I guess people who identify as having a disability, because not everyone does. We know that. And maybe who want to be part of the disability community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kath. Thanks for clarifying that for me. So today's show, we're going to dive into some of the news that impacts people with disability, some of the stories that are floating around there on the internet, while answering, hopefully, some of the questions that people with disability in our community are asking. And we're really going to be working with those answers together. And then we're going to introduce ourselves properly with some quick fire questions at the end.
Ooh, quick fire questions. Makes me feel slightly nervous.
Sure, you'll be fine, Kath. But first up, let's start with some news that makes us feel a bit inadequate as peers, Kath. Do you want to lead off?
Yeah, I think you just said floating around somewhere there, Dave. So the headline of this first story is paraplegic engineer becomes the first wheelchair user to blast into space. How's that feel, Dave?
Tell me more, Kath.
So an engineer from Germany became the first wheelchair user to enter space. She was a passenger on a Blue Origin flight.
That's Jeff Bezos's space program, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll forget that bit. So, yeah, her name was Michaela Benthaus, and she was a passenger on a space flight, soaring 105 kilometres up and floating in space for more than 3 minutes. And she actually said it was something that she never thought would happen to her. I think the thing that I found really interesting about her story, Dave, is that she does say that she does want to improve the accessibility for people with disabilities on Earth. Probably a good start.
Yeah, I'd start with the train systems before we move on to intergalactic travel, Kath, but that's just me.
And I guess we know that certainly I know people have a lot of hassles with travel, a lot of inequities and just downright discrimination, actually. People who use wheelchairs in particular, Dave, flying, like let's get plane travel right before we go to space, I reckon.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, Kath, but this story is an interesting one to me when you brought it up. It's one of those stories that we often see in the media when it relates to disability. I kind of like think there's like two versions of the disabled story. One is look at all the terrible stuff that is happening to these poor disabled people, or it's look at this amazing achievement that a person with disability has made or has achieved. And there doesn't seem to be any kind of middle ground with that sort of stuff.
So true. Just people getting on with their lives and doing what they want to do and having the jobs they want to have or studying. It's so true. And we talk a lot, don't we, about the whole thing about being inspirational, how that's kind of a bit of a burden sometimes. And also it's just not real I know for myself as a person with disability, like I don't think that anything I do is particularly inspiring. I run late and I'm never quite organised, and I guess we've got all the same, flaws as the rest of the population. And so, when I came across this story, I was like, oh, inspirational space traveller. Had a little bit of angst around it. But it also just is incredible. And, not sure if it's on my kind of bucket list. But
I don't know, Cath, if I was offered the opportunity, I don't think I'd say no, but, well done to
Michaela.
Yeah. Amazing story. So another thing that sort of caught my attention was a story around an Auslan performer being nominated for a WA Music Award for Auslan performances. I didn't even know this was a category. So this is really cool story.
Yeah.
So Luke Eastman, who is a coder, which is the child of a deaf adult, who goes by the stage name NRG, has been nominated for an award for his Auslan signing performances with the band Altar Boy. The 5-member band designs accessibility into their shows from the beginning rather than an afterthought. Well done to Altar Boy. That's fantastic. And they are creating a unified performance where deaf audience members can experience everything without looking around the stage. So Eastman's mother, Cath, is proud of his recognition. He hopes his success will inspire other coders and encourage more bands to make accessibility an inherent part of their performances, allowing deaf community members and their families to enjoy live music together. Thoughts, Cath?
Oh, so cool. So cool. Go to NRG for thinking of it and realising how much it matters to his parents, to other Auslan users. I think that, life is about... I think that we're always needing to improve the accessibility for people with disability, and the arts is such a cool and important, arena to be working on it in. So, it's a great story.
Yeah, and again, I had no idea that they were sort of, kudos to WA Music for really recognising the importance of a good Auslan interpretation or at a concert. I think that's a skill set in itself. So
absolutely.
That's really great.
What I think is really interesting about this story and is that, there'd be people who would say, well, why would a person who's deaf want to be at a concert anyway? Because we might think of it as something that's primarily about sound. Mm-hmm. And I love that, this story is saying be part of it, whatever that means for you and however you can engage with it and access it. And don't kind of say, oh, well, I'm deaf, so why would I go to a concert? I'm mindful this is not my personal lived experience, so I'm sort of assuming what I might feel. But I think it's really cool on so many levels.
I think we're going to move on now to, I think, everyone's favourite topic, Cath, the NDIS. Are you ready?
Everyone's favourite topic. Certainly always on the agenda and part of conversation. Yeah, what have you got for us, Dave?
The reappointment of Kurt Fearnley as the chair of the NDIA board. For those that don't know, Kurt's a 5-time Paralympian, disability advocate, and 2019 New South Wales Australian of the Year. Obviously, very impressive candidate for the role. Has served on the board since 2022. and is now up for another 3 years, started in January of this year. I think it's great news, Cath, in that I really think it's super important that there is appropriate disability representation on the board of the National Disability Insurance Agency, given that it's an organisation that is primarily focused on supporting people with disability, that there is disability representation on that. Thoughts?
Really good. I'll just say Kurt, he's from Newcastle. He's been a really big supporter of us at CEDA. So, we really appreciate that. He's one of those inspiring people with disability again, Dave, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think he crawled the Kokoda Trail, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
But, and so normally I would just be like, no way, I cannot imagine being you. He also is just completely down to earth. And I think what I like about Kurt is he's done, what some people would say are amazing things, but he kind of gets the daily challenges as well. I think it's really good. I think, we're always wanting more lived experience to be part of anything. Well, nothing about us without us is the slogan.
There we go. That's an old one, Cath.
An oldie but a goodie, Dave. We haven't got through the first episode of this podcast without getting one of our favourite, it's a call to action, nothing about us without us. And it should be absolutely at the heart of the NDIS. I'm not sure that it's getting it right entirely, but, let's keep pushing and hoping that they'll make it a priority more than they are already.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess a few thoughts that I have on the appointment. I agree with you, Cath, in that Kurt's a good person to take it on. Has a real sense of being part of a disability community, which I think is also important. That it's not just a one individual and having a disability, and therefore that's good enough to be on the board. I do think them understanding the broader disability community is an important aspect. But and I hate to be this guy that always is that, but the but part of it. But obviously I'd love to see not just disability representation at a board level, but in those kind of senior and middle management operations of the agency as well, Cath.
Yeah.
So, so often we do get that kind of, and this is certainly not relating to Kurt, because I think Kurt's there on the merit of him as an individual, but sometimes we see board representation as tokenistic, and also, or people with disability getting entry level roles into the agency, and not kind of getting that career progression that really means that a culture of inclusion is kind of permeated throughout the organisation.
Yeah.
I think we'd love to see a little bit more of that, obviously, and just a broader level of diversity. We have members of the coal community with disability, members of First Nations with disability, et cetera, et cetera. So,
yeah, cool.
In regards to Kurt's appointment, though, great, fantastic. Having 8 board members with a lived experience, also really good.
Is really good, yeah.
But, we can't kind of just
stop there.
The progress needs to continue.
Yeah.
So. All right, Cath, I think we're going to bring in our guest now. So with the power of editing.
Hello.
Telden, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So, Telden, welcome to the first episode of the Priority Seat. Do you want to tell us why you're here?
Yeah, well, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Cath. Pleasure to be
Telden.
here. Love your work. So I'm here because, it's part of the project that's coinciding with the podcast, which is the Disability Hub. And that's just kind of a way for CEDA to connect peers and members, families, all that sort of stuff, just the general community with CEDA, and kind of extend our reach a bit and connect us with outside organizations and things, especially with, foundational supports coming in. And so what we're doing is we're running a bunch of workshops about topics that our membership has said they want to know about. And we just asked membership, what do you want to do? What do you want to know about? And they gave us a big list and we're just working through that now. And it was really great. It was really good to talk to everyone. It was a great collaborative effort. And going forward for the next 18 months, we're going to be running the podcast and then also the workshops.
Wow. Fantastic. So that sounds really, really interesting, Telden. And we're obviously really excited to be the kind of podcast arm of this this project. Okay, I'm really interested. How the heck did you get involved with CEDA?
Yeah, kind of fell into it a little bit. I applied for the job and I liked how it looked. It looked great. It looked fun. And then I got a call from someone. They're like, "Oh, hey, this is CEDA calling." I was like, "I didn't apply for any jobs with CEDA." And then I looked at like all the things I'd applied for. It was like CDAH, and I was like, "Oh, CDAH, okay, yeah." And they called me in. And they're like, "Yeah, look, we love your resume. You look great. You look hot. We'll bring you in."
Don't say that.
And so I came in and interviewed and stuff. And at first I was really worried. I was like, "Oh, I mean, do they know that I don't have a disability? Are they going to take me on?" And then they're like, "Yeah, look, there's room for peers, there's room for allies." And so I kind of slipped in through the back door as an ally and just been with us ever since. And I started as the comms coordinator, and now I'm running the project. So it's been great. It's been an experience too. It's been a steep learning curve.
How long has it been now, Telden, since you've been at CEDA?
I think it's been just over a year now.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Yeah, everyone's been really welcoming. It's been so lovely. But yeah, like I said, steep learning curve. Really had to learn to not be the loudest voice in the room, which I love doing because I love attention. But
you could do a bit more work on that one too.
Noted. Thank you.
Because I want to be the loudest voice in the room.
But so it's been really fun though. I've loved it. It's been great. So
Telden, had you had much? Had you known people with disability very well before, or?
Yeah. I've got I have relatives that live with disability. I have a cousin who lives with disability, and I used to help out my auntie by looking after him and stuff. And then I've had other relatives and stuff. So I've had a bit of experience with it, but never worked or been really active in the community around that. But yeah, so this is kind of my first foray into kind of steeping myself in it a bit more and being more involved at a higher level. I guess not at a high level, but to a high degree.
It's a bigger part of who you are and what you do. And
yeah. But I mean, I've always had an interest in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
What did you notice? What were some of the things that you noticed? Your bosses have disability. The board that you work for has disability. And that's not the only thing we want people to notice about us. But what kind of got your attention? Started hanging out at CEDA.
Well, my first experience with it was walking in and everyone was hanging shit on you, Cath. So that was my first real foray into it. But I don't know, it was just how open and collaborative it was. And I came from other jobs previously where it was pretty buttoned up, and I didn't really fit in there because I am me and I'm not that buttoned up. And I kind of walked into CEDA and it was just really, really welcoming, and everyone kind of just said what they felt and kind of gives it to you pretty straight. There's none of the hiding behind, corporate talk. It's all just that's not right, that's incorrect, or you've done great there. But yeah, just I think the forthrightness of everyone that's involved has kind of been a big part of it.
That's very cool. Yeah, we do try and say what matters, don't we? I think, Dave. Yeah. And what would you, I don't know, have you found yourself talking to people about disability or your role, or is there sort of things that you tend to say when you're talking to others about disability? Yeah,
well, I think I do talk about it quite a lot, and I have to talk about it from, I think, a much different perspective than, say, a peer might. I think the way I approach it is significantly different, but I do talk about it a lot. But it's kind of talking about it as, I don't want to say a passenger, but as or not even a co-conspirator. It's more just as someone that's along for the ride, but kind of at the back of the bus, I guess. That's the best way I can talk about it, is I'm there, I'm helping, but that's all I'm really doing. I'm helping. I'm not driving it. I'm just doing what I can to support people to drive it, really.
Yeah,
So, like,
that's nice.
I'm more like a mechanic than I am the driver.
I guess what you're saying is you are really mindful, and you probably, I imagine you say this in the conversations that you have, that you're not coming as a person with lived experience. You are, we often use the term allies for people who don't have disability but are really important, committed sort of supporters of people with disability. So what you're saying is that when you speak about disability, you kind of always put it in that context, yeah?
Yeah.
So you're not coming in as the expert.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not the expert, and it's very clear, and people have made that abundantly clear. But and I think another thing that I really noticed was that, like, often, I mean, I think a lot of people's experience with people with disability is kind of just you see them out and about, but I don't know if everyone kind of sees them driving the show as much as they do at CEDA. Like it's hard to kind of put into correct terms, but I think seeing everyone be themselves and be actual humans rather than just being painted as people with disability, I think has been a really, really big eye-opening experience as well.
So I guess I was sort of leading on that, Telden. Can you think of a moment or an episode of oh wow, this is a very different workplace, or this is a very different environment to what I'm not used to?
Yeah. That's a great question, actually. That's a great question. I would say just the staff meetings, I think, that we have at CEDA generally, like it's a really open platform. Like everyone kind of just says what they feel in the moment, and it's just so different to what I've been used to, where everything has to be couched in kind of like pretty political terms. And like, not that we don't use political terms, everyone does, but yeah, it's been like a collection of experiences around that, and people coming up to me and being like, I didn't like that. And I'm like, thank you. Okay, I'll do better. So my bad.
Yeah. And I guess from our perspective, and Cath, I'm sort of in the CEDA office a bit more than you. We certainly see that there isn't that pushback that can often occur when, particularly, if in a communications comm space where you are like, oh, but this is my baby. I spent 8 hours building this thing. And you've just told me it's inaccessible and it's crap. What do I do?
Yeah.
And instead of sort of taking that on, in your chest and going, oh, that's awful, and then pushing back against it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm happy to roll with that and try and make amends and try and make it more accessible, which I think is certainly appreciated amongst many of the people you work with.
It's very different to the experience you might have in, say, a corporate job where you spend all this time doing something and no one uses it. It's just a waste of time. What you do is you spend all this time making something and someone's like, that's completely wrong. And then you have to start again. And like, I do kind of enjoy the challenge of that. It's like a big learning experience. But yeah, rather than it being wasted effort and forgotten about, it's the complete opposite. It's like, that's wasted effort because you didn't do it properly. We want you to do it again.
Yeah. And people are actually going to need to use this.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, it's something that's wanted and needed, not just like busy work.
Yeah.
Busy work. Yeah, exactly.
No busy work at CEDA, mate. It doesn't exist.
I was just thinking of a few things that you said that I guess really remind me of what's important. Obviously, disability leadership, I'm sensing maybe is what you were noticing, Telden. So at CEDA, we're really committed to people with disability being in key roles and not, as we've said before, not to be tokenistic, but because we should,
Yeah.
So I guess it's what the corporates might call a flat structure, Telden. So there isn't everyone's perspectives are valued, and there is some leadership around who makes the final decisions on important things. But it's like if someone comes in as maybe a volunteer or attending one of our peer groups, you would give that person as much focus and respect as the boss, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I found really refreshing is that you look around the room and it's like such a wide cross-section of people from all different walks of life, and it's not the same kind of like random white guy head with a tie staring back at you as it might be at another job.
Yeah.
It's just like such a wide array of people who are very free with their opinions, which I think is great. And like I wish more workplaces were like that, where everyone kind of just spoke their mind a bit more. And it makes for like a really engaging workplace. And yeah, seeing people with disability just really lead the way is pretty cool, and a lot of times humbling as well, because sometimes I've been used to kind of being like I said, the loudest voice in the room a lot of times, and really can't be there.
Really good stuff, really interesting. Telden, I was just wanting to ask you, what are some of the things that you want, like as an ally, what do you think are some of the most important things that other allies need to know or can do?
I think a lot of the time is just kind of sit back and listen. Sit back, listen, and help where your help is wanted, I think, is a big part of it. It's easy to kind of just stick your nose in and try and white knight things and be like, oh, I can do all this, I can do all that. But that's not really helpful or conducive to like any kind of progress. You kind of stand alongside, you assist as you can, but you got to know when to take a step back as well. I think that's a big thing. And also not saying yes all the time. I kind of got into like a weird habit of just saying yes to everything. And people are like, yeah, if you're going to say you're going to do it, you can do it. But you got to learn to say no as well. And that's kind of like that was my first 6 months, was me just saying yes to everything and being like, well, I should help where I can. And it's like, sometimes you shouldn't help. Sometimes you should just take a step back and let people kind of do things themselves. And yeah, I think that's where it can start to get tokenistic if you're just doing things for everything, doing things for everyone.
So, Cath, I just wanted to ask Telden. So, around the project, what's sort of one thing? Okay, I guess this is a few parts to this. What is the one thing that you hope, is achieved at the end of the project? And two, what do you hope, what would you say to peers about coming along to the planning cafes or the workshops? What would you say to get them in the room, and also what do you hope is the final takeaway at the end of the project?
That's a great question. I think the biggest takeaway I want from it is to have the influence of the disability community sprinkled throughout organisations in the Newcastle area and beyond, and them engaged and driving change within those different areas, and also being connected so that they're not like, say if something happens with foundational sports and certain people are taken off the NDIS, they're not just stranded, they have the supports they need and they know the people they need to know. And for peers, I would say like the best reason to get involved is for exactly that, is to like connect with all these resources that you may have not known about before, and to meet new people and to drive what we're doing with the project as well, because what we're doing is like driven by peers, driven by people with disability, and the more people that are involved, the more robust it can be, the more connections we can make, and the more changes we could potentially see. So I think those are the two biggest things. And from the other side, not just from a peer perspective, but from the outside organisations we're looking to bring in, them being able to see the disability community for what it is and not just from the outside looking in, I think is really important, because it's foundational sports is about creating a great broad foundation, and that's the way I think that we do it.
Well, Telden, that sounds really interesting. Really exciting couple of months ahead for the project. If people want to get involved, like, what's the best way? How are they going to find out about this?
Yeah, so we send emails out to members, so you can become a member of CDAH for free. You can email info@cdah.org.au and we'll get the ball rolling there. You can check our Facebook, which is just Community Disability Alliance Hunter, our Instagram and LinkedIn, CDAH.hunter, and then also there'll be some details in the show notes as well, I believe, and also our website, cdah.org.au.
New website, Telden too.
Fresh new website. Hopefully it works.
All right. I reckon it's time for some quick fire questions.
Hell yeah.
So, don't think too much about these. Just go with the first thing trust your gut. Go with the first thing that comes into your head. Ready, Telden? Ready, Dave?
Yep.
Go for it.
Cath.
Telden, teleportation or time travel? What even is teleportation?
That's easy teleportation every day of the week. Time travel, you mess timelines up, you end up not having your parents exist, you don't exist. Bad idea. Teleportation is just jumping from one spot to another. It can be kind of like any distance. If you're curious, watch the Hayden Christensen movie Jumper, not Looper. Jumper, great movie. Underrated hit. But it's just jumping from one spot to another instantly. And I would never have to work again. Just jumping into different like bank vaults and taking what I need. That's the dream.
Cath, for me, 100% time travel, history nerd,
Yep.
going back, seeing, I don't know, Caesar or, Napoleon, something like that. That'd be sick.
Butterfly effect, Dave.
That'd be
Butterfly.
amazing.
You're gonna kill like a frog, and it's gonna end up making Caesar never exist. Do you know?
We are going to have to explain a lot of things.
Do you know the butterfly
Matt,
effect, Cath?
Nick, make sure they edit heavily. Think about the unaware, the ill-informed. I'm feeling like not a guy right now. I'm really feeling the gender, divide.
Do you know the butterfly effect, Cath?
Heard of it?
If a butterfly flaps its wings in one place, it can affect something in thousands of
like a tsunami in Indonesia or something.
really
like that.
terrible Ashton Kutcher movie based on it as well.
Okay.
But it's like the idea that if you time travel and you bump into a tree, one of the acorns will fall off at the wrong time and hit Napoleon in the head, and he'll never become emperor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does not care.
I care.
What's your answer, Cath? Teleportation or time travel?
Teleportation, definitely. As a person with ADHD, time blindness is a thing. So does that mean I could get to where I needed to be on time?
Yeah.
Instantly.
I'm there. I'm so there with teleportation.
So if you needed to get to a podcast or something, you could leave at 9:59 a.m. and get here.
I haven't arrived yet, actually. I'm still coming. Cool, thank you. All right. Vegemite, love it or hate it? Telden.
Putrid, burn it, disgusting.
It's awesome. Cath,
Yeah.
Dave, it's awesome.
No, you're just eating tar.
It is awesome. So that's 2 against 1. So
I could put my mouth around the exhaust pipe of the oldest.
we do not recommend that you do that at home. Do not put your head around
Be the
mouth.
exact same flavour.
All right, that's Vegemite covered in ways I never thought it would be. Okay, Dave, if you could make one thing magically accessible, just, click your fingers like you did and Telden appeared, what would it be?
Ooh, good question, Cath. I just think access into buildings, Cath. There's still many, particularly historic buildings and stuff like that, aren't accessible, and there's no attempt to make them accessible, and it just really drives home. These are places that you don't get to go, and I think that's what I'll say there.
Yeah, that's important, Dave. Thanks. I guess you guys want me to answer this one, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm going to do a flippant but important one, which is used by dates on milk, bottles, cartons, all things milk related. I have a bit of I am blind. Have I mentioned that already?
Yeah.
And
you have a bit of a horse in this race because you have an ongoing battle with.
I
the
do
Cedar
have an
milk.
ongoing. It's the first thing I say when I come to the Cedar office is there milk that's in date? So it's a real thing. I've become quite phobic. So yes, I would like to know with assurance, not having to rely on my nose, the expiry dates on milk. More seriously, you know what? I think it's the attitudinal stuff, which is really hard to get right. And it's a work in progress, and it's going to be a constant thing. But I think for me, it's, where we didn't have to do so much education and awareness raising on disability, where we don't have to explain ourselves, where we don't have to tell everyone, answer questions and educate. So mine would be kind of where disability was just so much part of the fabric of society that we didn't even mention it. That's what I'd like to make. Here's another one that we might need to think about for a sec. What would you put on a billboard outside Parliament House?
That's a great question. I would even just say just images of the people that are going to be potentially dropping out of the NDIS, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who it's going to be, and it's just so up in the air at the moment. And I think just having a look at the people who are going to be impacted every day by these decisions, I think would be really important because I think so often, as a politician, you can kind of, or even a policymaker of some sort, there's a removal there from that. You don't have to see the people, it's just some numbers. But if you see the people, I think that kind of changes your attitude a bit.
Cool.
It's a great one.
Yeah. Dave?
Oh, it's hard
You
to
like
top.
you like to get into a little bit of politics.
Yeah,
What would
that's
you?
a hard one to top, actually. That's a really good response. Yeah, I guess where like all the large corporate sponsors are. That was for me one. Sort of like a sponsors list on who's funding what in the government, Cath. At the footy, how it's like we'd like to thank our sponsors, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That kind of list of thanks to this company and that bank, and so.
Could be a big electric board that just has like a running tally of all the different sponsors.
Sponsors, yeah.
The invisible.
Yeah.
Don't mention me sponsors.
Yeah.
Kind of like are we thinking about the travel routes and the sorts of things?
Oh no, just general corporations sponsoring elections for hundreds of millions of dollars. And
Okay.
stuff like that.
We could take that a step further, and like politicians have to have the patches on their suits, like they do the sponsors on footy. Cath, what would you do?
Well, billboards are inaccessible for people who are blind or have low vision. People who struggle with, find it difficult to read, to access printed material. So nothing. No billboard is outside Parliament House whatsoever.
Big wussy.
Did you like how I got out of that?
Yeah,
one?
that was
good, wasn't it?
Can I just add another option for myself? I just want to have one that says Telden for next Chico Chick. I think that would be a big one for me. I deserve a shot.
Overrated movie everyone loves.
Oh, I've got one.
Okay.
This is controversial, but Forrest Gump, Cath.
Forrest
Terrible
Gump.
movie. Terrible movie. Everyone loves it. It's designed for baby boomers. I'm out.
Yeah, it's playlist the movie.
Yeah.
Sad. Oh, yeah, the music's good.
Remember
Exactly. That's the only reason.
Remember this song? What do you got an overrated movie, Cath?
Groundhog Day.
Oh.
Couldn't get through it. Yeah.
No.
What is
Prime
that?
Bill Murray. What's wrong with you?
I do live my life on Groundhog Day, though, it feels sometimes. So,
this is a
I
little
like
too
the
close to home.
cultural reference, but not the movie. Telden.
Oh, my overrated movie?
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption. By far. Couldn't finish it. I think anything
It's pretty hard going.
with what's that dude's name again? I forget his name. He's the one who
Tim Robbins.
No, not Tim Robbins.
Morgan
Tom
Freeman?
Hanks.
Any Morgan Freeman movie is pretty generally overrated in my opinion.
That's hugely controversial.
Yeah,
This is Morgan Freeman hate. This is not hitting well.
A song you'd play on repeat for 24 hours straight.
1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. I
Ooh,
love that song. It's so good.
wasn't expecting that.
I definitely wasn't expecting that either.
Such a good song.
I don't know, Cath. I think something Crowded House related.
Oh
I think it'd be
yeah.
a Crowded House song of some description.
Okay, that's all right.
What about you, Cath?
Yeah. There's too many. I can't think of anything. Well, it's more that I have earworms. So when I hear, and an earworm is, that song that we cannot stop singing and we cannot get out of our head, which is not quite the question.
Yep.
But at the moment, it's that song called Sway, made famous by Michael Bublé, but I don't know if it's.
Oh, one penny. No, it's not.
He's not the original, I don't think. Anyway, I heard
Big Runga, Sway.
Is it?
Yeah, Big Runga, yeah.
But I just want to say that earworms are real, and I can drive the person in my house to the point of needing to leave the house with my earworms. So that's my current one. Telden, did you have another one?
Yeah, I've got one more. It's First Test by Speed. It's one of the best songs ever made. It's a hardcore song that has a flute solo in it.
I love
Get out of
hardcore songs with flute solos.
Yeah, you're always at the shows. I see you there, Cath.
One thing you wish non-disabled people understood about disability, Dave?
It's not so much my lived experience, Cath, but I guess for just understanding that people can't turn it off, right? Like it's not something that we choose to engage with and then not engage with.
It's not a lifestyle choice.
Yeah, like I see many of the people that we work with who have invisible disability or non-visible disability. They go through periods of wellness and unwellness, and them often not being understood or believed around the nature of their disability, I think is I can't get out of mine. Like mine's very visual. Like, wheelchair is kind of a big bit of a giveaway. Whereas, those that is not so visible, I think, just society understanding that, this is not a lifestyle choice is a really good way of putting it, Kath.
I was being a little bit tongue in cheek. I probably need to be.
No, I think it's fair. I think it's a really good one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But maybe what you're also saying, Dave, is that there are lots of people whose disability and the impact it has on them changes from day to day. Was that also what you were talking about? So someone who
I guess just the people's understanding of what the nature of their disability is often not understood. So yeah.
It's making me think about people who require support, particularly support around their personal care. So getting up in the mornings and making sure they can have something to eat and do all those things. And they always say, like, I still have to get those things done on a public holiday.
Yeah.
It's not like I can say, I don't need you to come and work today. So kind of made me think about that, which again was probably not what you were
No,
meaning.
it's all wrapped
I
up.
like it. You can't turn it off. It's not Telden.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say I did think of one. If I can invoke my abstaining. One that I've noticed people talk about a lot is that like one diagnosis is not the same as another necessarily.
yeah.
So like I hear a lot of people talking about people with similar conditions or the same conditions being painted with the same brush a lot.
Yep.
It's not the case. Like it's everyone's different and diagnosis is not king.
Yeah, just great point, Telden. Then to circle back to one of our earlier stories in the podcast, Kath, with Kurt Fearnley. Kurt and I have the exact same diagnosis. Now, that is to say that, to your point, I am not crawling Kokoda track or planning on going on the Sydney to Hobart anytime soon or doing any kind of like wheelchair racing. Thank you very much. So.
Yeah, you're right. They say, you've met one person who's blind, you've met one person who's blind, you've met one person with, a particular mental health diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good, so important. Thanks, Telden. Mine. I think that I want to say the one thing that I wish non-disabled people understood about disability is that it's not the be-all and end-all. It's not the only thing. Sometimes I think it's kind of one of the most boring things about me, actually. So it's part of who I am. It can't be ignored. I want it to be valued. I do believe in the concept of disability pride, but I'm not just this one-dimensional person with disability.
Yeah. And it's not like if I meet a blind person, I should immediately introduce you because you're going to be best friends straight away because you're both blind.
There is that. Yes. That's true. We don't know every other person with disability, let alone every other person. Dave,
although it is Newcastle,
it is Newcastle, that's true.
Time to time.
But it's like, do people come up to you, Dave, and say, do you know so-and-so? He or she uses a wheelchair, and they're perhaps on the other side of the world from where we are now.
It certainly has happened to me, absolutely, Kath. That's certainly a thing, yeah.
I get people doing that with Dubbo, in case he goes on to do
Oh, yeah. Telden, you're from Dubbo. It's what would be the population of Dubbo for those?
It's 50,000. It's not bad.
But it's got that country town kind of
Yeah, and like I usually do
reputation.
know the person, so maybe not a great example.
This is a tricky one. Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I've got one.
Telden.
Don't burn yourself to keep others warm. I don't know if someone said that to me, but I think I saw it on a movie or maybe even just like an ad, and it stuck with me. So I like that one.
Meaning?
Well, don't sacrifice yourself just to like help other people too much. So don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. So you can help people, but don't burn yourself out.
Yeah. Like it's a little bit like put the oxygen mask on yourself before you help other people on the flight.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like that's a tricky one because we can take it on a light kind of level or we can actually say, I know for people with disability, it can be a lot of energy to keep being like trying to make change. And for people who support people with disability, you've got to know when to stop to be okay, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah, because you see people burn themselves out a lot trying to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Dave.
This is really tricky, Kath. All right, I'll answer it, Kath. It's less a piece of advice and more of a way of like conducting yourself and thinking about the world.
Nice.
And it's around like if you have the opportunity, then you have an obligation to throw down ladders of opportunity for other people. So if you're able to get to a point in your career or your life or, you know, whatever the scenario, and you have opportunities to support other people and to make opportunities available to other people, then you have an obligation to do so.
Nice.
So I guess
So
that's one thing.
Not just pulling the ladder up, but also putting ladders down.
Exactly. Yeah. If you go up the ladder, then you have a duty to create other ladders.
Yeah.
Sort of the paying it forward, which is a value that we really do. I guess we really do think it's very important at CEDA. Is that? Am I right? Am I hearing that right?
It's yeah. But I mean, just being really intentional about that, Kath. About just recognizing. It's about recognizing privilege.
Yeah.
And then doing something actively with that privilege too.
Yeah.
Not just sort of passively going, I suppose I'll help this person.
I got mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, yeah, intentional. So, like if it's something that you've had the opportunity and privilege to do, trying to support someone else to have that same opportunity or experience. Okay, great.
Or new opportunities.
Yep. Well, now you two have come up with
Pressure's on Marnie.
Best piece of advice you've ever been given. Do you know what? It's quite an unusual one, but I can expect a lot of myself and the world, and this seems quite negative. But it's kind of like be realistic about your expectations, manage your expectations. But I don't think I hear that as in terms of giving up and accepting things that aren't okay. But it's like actually, not just assuming that everything is going to be fine. Not just assuming that you'll have really straightforward relationships with everybody that you meet. Not assuming that, everybody will always be fantastic to you. So it's something around managing your expectations, but I feel like that's quite a negative one.
But it's like it's more pragmatic than negative, I would say.
Sort of like try and be real about it. Yeah.
Keep it real.
If I could think of another one, I would. But
Cool. Thanks everyone for contributing there. So I guess there's a couple of sort of quick questions before we wrap up. What are we reading, watching, listening to right now?
I may lose any small bit of credibility that I may have once had. I've been watching Downton Abbey, which is like this. They groaned, the boys.
No, I didn't groan.
Downton Abbey, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is this kind of period drama set, probably goes from like starts with the Titanic and it goes through to after the First World War. And it's just one of those kind of, it just is a bit of escapism because it's a different time. You do notice how much things have changed, particularly around disability and minority groups and things that are said that couldn't be said anymore. This was meant to be quickfire. Downton Abbey. I have just.
There's literally a line in the note saying, "Doesn't have to be too in depth."
Okay, all right. Okay.
So
I don't have that on my screen.
I want an episode by episode guide by Kath Marnie.
Scene open. Dr. Down is in the parlour. The Titanic has just sunk.
No, it's all right. Downton Abbey is what we have been binge watching, all 6 seasons and the 3 movies. It's a period piece set in kind of aristocratic England. It's about countesses and that's our binge.
I watched my first episode of Bridgerton the other day with my partner. It's colourful. I don't want to dwell on that.
What have I been reading and watching? Do you know what? I'm such a nerd. I've been watching a lot of like YouTube history docos, and there's a guy called, I want to say Mr. History. Fred, I might need you to double check that. He's an Australian history teacher that is doing sort of 20-minute Australian political and kind of colourful Australian history docos on YouTube. And I find it super engaging. And I think some of his stuff even ended up on iView, which is pretty amazing. So ABC iView. So yeah, that's what I've been
If
doing.
we're talking YouTube videos, I've been watching a lot of Warhammer 40k lore videos. Never played it, but I like the videos.
Yeah, thanks, Cath, for that recommendation. Sorry, I won't be watching Downton Abbey anytime soon. Thank you for listening, watching, and tuning in to The Priority Seat. We appreciate you spending time with us. Thanks, Telden. Thanks, Cath.
Thank you.
Dave.
Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below on our Spotify or YouTube channel, or you can contact us via email on info@cdah.org.au with the word podcast in the subject line so it goes to the right people.
Cool. And this podcast, The Priority Seat, it was recorded at Opus Productions on Awabakal land.
This podcast was brought to you by Community Disability Alliance Hunter and the Department of Social Services Community Hubs Grant. Excellent.